Hi, my name is Alexis Cook, and I'll be presenting How May AT Assist You? Professional Development for Understanding and Implementing Assistive Technology in the Classroom. We'll be talking about some points here, assistive technology overview, types and purposes, AT framework, and AT and virtual classrooms. So let's start with the overview. What is AT? It is assistive technology, which is any piece of equipment, product, system, whether acquired commercially, modified, or customized, that is used to increase, maintain, or improve functional capabilities of individuals with disabilities. That pretty much means assistive technology helps individuals perform or function in a way that otherwise would be challenging or impossible. So you can see some of the things here in which we are able to do that those that are disabled may need assistance with, such as writing, sitting, communicating, hearing, and speaking. So assistive technology's importance is that it enables more participation and involvement within one's community, home, or work, access to educational opportunities, social interactions and exchanges, and promotes independence. An assistive technology service is a service that assists an individual with a disability in the selection, acquisition, or use of an assistive technology device. That can include a team of assistive technology specialists, parents, teachers, students, or individuals themselves, anyone that would need to help the individual with their assistive technology device. And again, for assistive technology services, it involves evaluation, purchasing devices, selecting the right type of device that fits or matches the individual and their needs, coordinating trainings or selections or trials of assistive technology devices, maybe at a resource center or an assistive technology site, and also supporting the technology that supports and assists the individual. Some legislation that has been created for the rights and abilities of those disabled range from the 504 Section Rehabilitation Act, which protected the rights of the disabled and received federal funding, Tech Act, which provided consumer responsive information and training programs for individuals with disabilities, the American with Disabilities Act, which also prohibited discrimination from those with disability through employment, transportation, and telecommunication services. We also have the Individuals with Disabilities Act, very famous legislation and recognized by many educators, that allowed children with disabilities to be entitled to free and appropriate education with programs and services individualized to them and their service needs and plans. The Assistive Technology Act is a reauthorization of the Tech Act that included extended federal funding and provision of assistive technology for those with disabilities. The Individuals with Disability Act was reauthorized again in 2004 to include more AT devices and services to students with disabilities. Continuation of that legislation includes another reauthorization or amendment to the Tech Act, which is the Assistive Technology Act, which ensured continued existence of funding for assistive technology for those that are disabled. The Higher Education Opportunity Act also created training and integration of technology consistent with UDL principles. We'll talk about UDL later on. And the Every Student Succeeds Act was created in 2015 to ensure access and general education, accommodations, and assessments and concepts of UDL for students with disabilities. Our next portion of our professional development are categories and purposes of AT, which we'll talk about levels of AT and their purpose. So the levels of AT and assistive technology are no tech and low tech, which are those that do not have a power source, are low cost, if not free, and require little to no training. Mid-tech levels of technology do require a battery or power source, are more costly, and will provide some or need some training to occur. And then high-tech levels of AT are sophisticated in their power sources, are usually more expensive, and require a lot more training. So there are 6 categories when considering assistive technology and the needs of individuals, ranging from position and mobility to instructional aids. So first we'll start with position and mobility. Those are for individuals that are impaired mobily and find it a challenge to move about their environment. So some of the assistive technology that helps with that are scooters, wheelchairs, cushions, gait trainers, um, and things that allow the individual to move around and have more independence in that environment. Next, we have communication. And oh, communication is an exchange of ideas, thoughts, and feelings. So imagine being disabled and having that being a challenge for you. Well, certain types of assistive technology devices involve augmented and alternative communication, which you can see here in these examples. We have picture boards, speech apps and software, and electronic communication boards. So Dynavox is on one of the ones that is majorly known, more on the high tech side. And then we have some low tech information with communication boards that come through a book and can create a pragmatic organization of getting out thoughts and speech patterns. And these devices obviously can go from simple to complex. Next, we have computer access. This allows students to have internet access through tablet or computer use. These types of computers can be modified or adapted through their hardware or software and can be used in multiple environments. So you can see we have some examples here like braille stickers for those who have poor to no vision, keyboard guards for those who have unsteady hands and need to communicate via the keyboard, trackpad extensions for desktops for those that have mobility issues using the mouse, switches. As you can see, this lovely young lady here can use the switch to navigate the internet, and then obviously voice and speech recognition software for those that need to navigate the internet or other parts of the computer. Next, we have adaptive toys and games. Not only are those who are disabled need assistance in functioning with academics and moving around their environment, but also for their leisure and recreational activities, such as sports or hobbies or interests like that. So examples that can be used are switch toys. You can see a tic-tac-toe game over there, switch and button toys to interact with those type of activities. Musical instrument adaptations. You can see an adaptive guitar pick. Sports or recreational equipment. You can see an assistive swing here, wheelchair accessible parks, and gaming areas. Oops, sorry. All right, so next we have adaptive environments, which can create structural barriers and environmental barriers for those that are disabled. But with the assistance of assistive technology, procedures, routines, and daily living become more possible for them. So as you can see, we have some examples of adaptive eating utensils, which have a universal cup, universal grip for the student to continue to feed themselves, creating that independence. We have another young lady here that is using a ramp to catch an Uber or a Lyft service so that she can go wherever she needs to go. We also have a lady here using a grabber to reach things that she could not herself stand up and acquire. And then we have instructional aids, which provide for cognition, access, achievement, visual behavior, and hearing. Examples could be spell checkers, calculators, portable word processors, text-to-speech, font magnification, behavior charts, and trackers. Now let's get into the framework of how assistive technology devices and services are selected and assessed. So we have the SET framework, which helps with the assessment, evaluation, and implementation of assistive technology. And it focuses on the student, the environment, the tasks, and the tools that the student will need to have and to execute for themselves. So the SET framework relies on involvement of usually an IEP team, again, teachers, staff, family, and students. Assessment, which is data collection, feature matching, current learning needs, guide for implementation. And SET framework is also ongoing, meaning that there will be continuous monitoring, further data collection, making sure the student is comfortable, and possibly repurposing the assistive technology. So you can see that continual process here from the student, environment, tasks, and tools, trial and implementations. If it's successful, we can apply those. If unsuccessful, we'll reassess and start this cycle all over. Here's just an example of a SET framework for a student. You can see the individual, Sarah, the environment's home. She's a virtual student trying to get her to successfully utilize Zoom to access her classes independently and the tools that she'll be using. So she'll be using a tablet, webcam, things like that. And her outcome is for her to join her classes independently and use those resources there. Here are just some sample questions that would be asked during the SET framework and during those IEP meetings. What are your current instructional and physical arrangements? What activity occurs in the student's learning environment which enable progress toward mastery and identified goals? So next we have assistive technology and the virtual classroom. This is my area, as I am a virtual instructor of high school and middle school mathematics. So how assistive technology can be used within the virtual classroom. Virtual instruction and students all are created with these three things in mind. The educational technology, which provides the student with the learning opportunity, the assistive technology, which are the tools that allow the student or individual to access that learning opportunity, and then the universal design for learning, or UDL, where all students experience those learning opportunities and experiences. These three have a relationship that definitely allows for not just virtual instruction, but education instruction as a whole. So let's just briefly talk about the educational technology. It enhances teaching and learning using hardware and software, things like one-on-one computers, tablets, etc. Creates these educational opportunities. Learning management software such as Canvas, Google Classroom, Blackboard, Moodle, and things like that allow for that to happen. E-learning apps and theory, such as the TPAC model, which allows for technology to assist the learning situation, not just enhance or beautify the learning experience. And it creates personalized learning. Next, we have assistive technology, which does embed itself into the educational technology because it allows access to these created educational opportunities. It eliminates performance and functional barriers to participate in the educational opportunities given to them, and it provides a team effort in the device or service for that accessibility, as we talked about with the SET framework. And it does lend itself to the use of instructional aids as the focus in a virtual environment. Traditional environment, we would probably consider more of the positional and mobility type of assistive technology. So these are just some of the assistive technologies that are mainly considered and paid attention to in the virtual world. So visual aids, assistive listening, obviously closed captioning, augmentative communication, and reading adaptations that make reading materials more accessible. So we rely highly and heavily on these in the virtual classroom to make sure all students are engaged in accessing the curriculum. The Universal Design for Learning has assistive technology at its fundamental core. For learning approaches and minimizing barrier and maximizing learning, that accessibility piece must be there. It also accommodates all students, disabled and non-disabled. My favorite part, because we want to make sure that disabled students are not feeling isolated because they have to use a certain assistive technology device. Within the Universal Design for Learning, there are three principles: engagement, representation, expression, and action. So there are multiple options for using and displaying that type of learning, and it does include itself for inclusive and comfortable environments to learn, and does require preparation for that design. So the three principles of universal design learning are engagement, to stimulate motivation and sustain enthusiasm for learning. So that's the effect the learning has on the learner. And representation, it presents information and content in different ways to support understanding. This representation principle is really where the assistive technology comes into play and is embedded, because you need to have different ways to allow students to present and understand that information. Graphics, tactile learning, auditory processing, things like that is really where the universal design learning envelops those that need assistive technology. And then the action and expression for strategic learning offers options and support so everyone can create, learn, and share. Okay, and so for the universal design learning, the assistive technology used for those that are just disabled can actually prove themselves useful to those that are non-disabled, such as closed captioning can be used for students with low hearing, but also students that have trouble focusing or maybe in noisy places and need to understand what is going on in the context of the learning. So in conclusion, assistive technology is a tool or service for improving learning outcomes and opportunities. It requires a framework, a guided plan known as SET, to consider the use of AT devices for the child to be successful in these learning opportunities and environments. It does require a team effort of cycling through the assessment and intervention, problem solving, and data collection to continue the success for the student using this assistive technology. And then for the benefits of assistive technology is student communication, fostering and development of independence, performance, and peer interaction, and so much more. So resources to access and kind of learn more about assistive technology can be found at places like Edutopia and understood.org. And that is the end of my presentation. Any questions or concerns, please contact me. Thank you so much for enjoying my presentation. I hope you learned a lot.